the right of return of the stranger. What you're looking at now is a snippet of the live video that we did yesterday, Apostles of Great Millstone 5/8/2021. This is 2 minutes and 24 seconds in of a almost 3-hour video. Anyway, I'm going to let you listen because there's a controversy with the Israeli government planning to deport what they call African Hebrew Israelites as opposed to black Hebrew Israelites out of the land. And I would say maybe 75 to 80% of them were born in that land. So that's their land. They were born in that land. But the backstory is they know that they're the actual Israelites. I'm talking about the group that went to the land of Israel as far back as 68, 69, 70, led by Benny Ami. So that's a world court case, a UN case, because the UN deals with disputes among the nation states that are part of the UN, and Israel is part of the UN. So that's a controversy there. So that's a good thing that they're planning on deporting them, because they have to answer to the higher courts. And that puts more focus on the Israelites. The question in the air is, are so-called black people, African Americans, former slaves, are they in fact the Israelites? So this is a good thing. Anyway, let me let you listen. Then I'm going to go to a scripture or two.
Anyway, what they saw was this great number of people. And they're going to see it again, and they've seen it now in Esau the Freight. That, why you think they want to kick the African Hebrew, they call them African Hebrew Israelites as opposed to black Hebrew Israelites. See how they categorize this? Yep. They're talking about deporting all the African Hebrew Israelites out of the land. Then I heard the news that they're talking about there's a riots going on and a bunch of Palestinians got shot up, which I believe Palestinians for the most part, most of them, if not all of them, are Israelites, man. Okay? Because this dude, DJ Khalid, that dude, he's a Palestinian, but he acts just like Jake. He hangs out with Jake, he rolls with Jake, so he got to be a Jake. Plus he can DJ, you know? But anyway, they're pushing out they want to push out the Palestinians, and they also want to push out the African Hebrew Israelites, which are the Ben Ami crowd. So they had one guy with a sister come in and say that there's a thing called a right of return, and that's why they went back to the land of Israel. The right of return. It speaks about the stranger. All right, about the strangers talking about Israelites, but the so-called Jews are saying, well, you're not the Israelites, but it says the stranger. Let's say we're not Israelites. You still got to give us a plot of land, you know? So Esau had 50.
Yeah, that goes out there to you, vocab, because you go into the scriptures about the stranger. Well, why aren't you speaking about this situation in Israel? You know, you should take the side of the African Hebrew Israelites because they're getting ready to be deported. But the scriptures speak about the strangers receiving a plot of land in Israel. So no matter which way you slice it, they got to get that land. They have a right to that land. Any nation, according to your understanding of the word stranger, vocab Malone, you know, you get on your video, your platform, and you speak on this. Anyway, let me let you listen to a little bit more, and then I'm gonna go into a scripture or two to let you to make you understand that the stranger receiving an inheritance in the land of Israel are Israelites, whose parents or parents, great grandparents left the land of Israel and lived in another country, and their great grandson decides to come back to visits Israel and decides to stay in Israel. What the law says and what Scripture says, in that Scripture, you have to give him a plot of land. You have to find out what tribe he is, and then you go to that land where whether it's a tribe, whether it's Gad's land or Judah's land, you give them a plot of land. So this is a big controversial thing that's happening with the Israeli government planning on deporting African Hebrew Israelites and Palestinians, which I could be wrong, but I believe at least some of the Palestinians are Israelites, if not most of them. Anyway, let's listen to a little bit more.
Fearing us because he saw that great number, and he has fearing us now because he sees this great number.
Yeah, he is referring to Esau. That's in Deuteronomy 2nd chapter. They feared us because they saw the great multitude come out of so-called Egypt, which Egypt, that land is actually Mizraim.
Of different Israelite camps and different videos, they're getting scared now. Give me the whole lot and give me Revelation. Shalom, man. Give me Revelation 11. Start at the 8th verse.
So let's go into it. I don't want to make this long. If you go to Isaiah, right now I'm in Ezekiel 47 verse 22 and 23. But if you go to the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, in the first verse, and it speaks about the strangers shall cleave unto us. And High Priest Ariah in the top 7 used to teach that those are talking about other nations trying to, cleave unto us, meaning they're saying that they're the Jews. No, that's not. They were wrong on that. Those strangers that will cleave unto Israel are other Israelites that will wake up and be a part of this fold of knowing that they're Israelites. So now when you click on the word stranger or strangers, the word there is H1616, the H meaning Hebrew in the blue letter, or the concordance. The word there, stranger, is the word gar. Now it says here in Ezekiel 47 verse 22 and verse 23, and you can read, like I said, you can read Isaiah the 14th chapter, the first verse, and dealing with the words, focusing on the word stranger, and you can click on that word and see how many times the word stranger is, and it's the word stranger, H1616 is in the scriptures quite a few times, as opposed to you have gar and you have what's the other? I can't think of the other. There's two more definitions for the word stranger. You got gar, and then you have damn, I can't think of it. I'm not going to click on it. But my memory fails me right now. Getting old. It'll come back to me. The other word. Anyway, it says, for example, all right, let's just go into it. Like I said, Ezekiel 47 verse 22 and 23, it says, and it shall come to pass, meaning a future prophecy, that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance. And you can read a couple of verses. You can really start the first verse of Ezekiel 47. I like to go to the first verse a lot of times because it gives you a lot more information when you start from the first verse. I'm just going right to the point. Like, for example, Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. A lot of times we'll go to Jeremiah 30, verse 7 and or verse 16, but you got to read the whole chapter to really get that understanding, to understand what Jacob's trouble is in verse 7 of Jeremiah 30. So let's go back to this. Ezekiel 47 verse 22. And it shall come to pass that, you know what, let me click on this. I'll start from the 20th verse. Okay, here we go. It says, Ezekiel 47 verse 20, the west side also shall be the great sea from the border till a man come over against Hamath. This is the west side. For 21st verse. So shall ye divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. So you have the tribe of Gad, they have their inheritance. You have the tribe of Judah, they have their inheritance. The tribe of Issachar, they have their inheritance. Reading on, 22nd verse. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot. And by the way, Washington, D.C., when you go down to Washington, D.C., and you go back into the history of D.C., that area, which is part Virginia and part Maryland, I think it's 10 square, matter of fact, I know it's 10 square miles, which was given for the capital of the U.S., but anyway, it was cut up in the lot. It was marshes, and it was cut up in the lots, or lots of lands. And the lot that they built the Capitol and the White House in that area right there, that lot was numbered. And you believe it or not, the number was 666. And D.C., if you you can go to Google and put a bird's eye view or schematic of DC, and you'll see a big owl, and in the belly of the owl is the Capitol building. On top of the Capitol building, they call her what is it, the Statue of Freedom or whatever, but that's actually Persophones, that goes back to Orpheus. That Greek story, Orpheus and Hades, and Orpheus had to bring Persophones out of the underworld of Hades. So you got to go into that. That whole hell concept come from the Greeks, which was Jake. Jake made that up. Those are stories. Anyway, it says Zeus was a Jake. All the gods, the brothers of Zeus, which was the chief god of Greek mythology, those were the superheroes of that time. You had Hades, you had Poseidon, and you had a couple others. And the parents of Zeus is Kronos, and I forget his mother's name, but Kronos was the god of time. Chronos in Greek is time, or chronicle, record. Anyway, let me get back into it. Going off a little bit. Let me get back into it. It says, and it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for the inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which are Israelites, which shall begat children among you, which are Israelites that came from another land that decides to come back into Israel, and ye shall be and they shall be unto you as born in the country, because they're Israelites, even though they've been out the land for centuries or generations. Among the children of Israel, they shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel, because they are Israelites outside of the tribe. That's why the African Hebrew Israelites has right to the land, because they're Israelites. 23rd verse. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, because you got to find out what your tribe of Gad, you're going to the land of Gad, we're going to give you a plot of land there for free. There shall ye give him his inheritance, saith the Lord the Most High. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say Shalom.